guys, welcome to Tarot Angel Intuitive. This is Jess here, and I want to thank you for being here with me today. I wanted to hop on here real quick. I felt called by Spirit to do a short video. I'm not sure what we're going to jump into, but I'm a psychic medium. I'm an intuitive reader, and sometimes, whenever Spirit talks to me, we just kind of have to go with the flow and see the message that needs to come through. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, I'm not exactly sure what I'm being called to do or talk about just yet. Tapping into the energy, though, I'm kind of getting a sense of forward movement, wanting to be productive, wanting to be proactive, kind of consciously making different choices to get out of old behavior patterns, and being called to do that, kind of making choices for yourself and for your own growth, instead of continuing to be stuck in old cycles, old processes, because you're just kind of, I'm getting that somebody is very tired of the same thing happening over and over. So let's kind of see what message it is. So Spirit, I ask that you tune me into the viewer and give me a message to help provide them direction or clarity on their journey. Okay. Now I am an intuitive reader. Like I said before, I pick up on energy. I also get a lot of my information from the images on the cards I receive, so I may not necessarily use a traditional tarot definition. If you're here for that, I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. There are a lot of other great tarot readers on YouTube that are really fantastic. I'm not one of them for that particular style. Okay. All right, Spirit, what else do we need to know for the viewer? And we have the Six of Pentacles. Let's see, I'm feeling one more card, so let's see what else we have. Yep, okay, perfect. All right, give me just a second to kind of check in with this particular energy for the message. Okay, so what I'm picking up is that you've really been bringing the shadows of these old behavior patterns. You're really bringing them kind of up to the surface because you recognize that they have been getting in the way of your relationships or the quality of relationships that you have either with others or even with yourself. It's almost, I'm hearing that you are, like I said, bringing to light toxic patterns, dark behaviors that have ultimately kind of stabbed you in the back of giving and receiving love in healthy ways. This heart is disjointed. This heart is, it's not whole. And again, with the crossing of this, it's almost as if you have done that to yourself. And so you're in the process of kind of, I'm seeing this figure, by you healing each of these figures, you're able to kind of move them out of the way. And so by doing that, it is going to be able to remove each of these swords. And once you remove each of the swords, then you will be able to kind of go in or allow time to fill it in and heal itself. So that's kind of where I feel like, the viewer that I'm picking up on, and this is a collective reading, timeless reading, so whenever you find it, you're meant to find it. But the work that you're doing, you're really acknowledging what has been not working within your relationships. And you're doing the work that you need to do in order to heal yourself. You're not waiting on anybody else anymore. You're not waiting for an apology from somebody else. You're not waiting on somebody else to change. This is you really stepping into the journey of your own healing and kind of taking control of that situation. You've kind of recognized that the only way and that you are the only person that can truly heal and mend your heart. Nobody else is going to be able to do it. And so dealing and confronting and healing these shadows here is going to be what's helping you. And I love the fact that there is this moon card. So you're seeing things are being illuminated in a way that you have never acknowledged before. You have a new perspective on things. And you're really now, you're not afraid to kind of, you're almost illuminating things from the bottom up, if that makes any sense. And by doing that, it's bringing light to shadows that you didn't know were shadows, if that makes sense. So from there, by digging into the subconscious, by really going deep, and sometimes it's inner childhood wounds, sometimes it's recognizing patterns of self-sabotage, and you're self-sabotaging because you're afraid of failure, or a lot of times you're afraid of even success. Sometimes it's recognizing that you are stopping yourself from manifestation. You are stopping yourself from finding healthy loves. You are stopping yourself from really getting what it is that you want. And beforehand, you may have kind of been blaming it on another person, or possibly it could have been something that you never even recognized was even stunting your growth or getting in your own way. And it doesn't have to be anything negative. Sometimes it's focusing on the wrong type of healing, focusing on the wrong fear. Like I said before, you could have thought that you were having to overcome your fear of failure, when in all actuality, you're having to overcome a fear of being successful. And so that's going to shift things. It's going to bring things to a whole different perspective, and what in your healing, and by addressing it and seeing it from a different side of things, then that is going to help almost finally be that missing component for your journey of self-healing that you didn't know you were even missing. What comes to mind, and this is the example Spirit's giving me, say we all have like a junk drawer or two in our house, okay? And it really collects random things: paper clips, pens, rubber bands, Band-Aids, screws that who knows goes to what piece of furniture. It's always a hodgepodge of different things. Sometimes it's those even jar openers that nobody ever remembers that they have. And so it's almost as if you're going into the junk drawer and you're looking for a screwdriver, and in the process you find a key, a spare key for your house. And so by finding that key, it helps you unlock something different that you didn't even know was, there, or that you needed or would come in handy with what you're doing. So then we have, this is kind of you really deciding to, okay, well, I don't like how my life is balanced right now. And it could be anything. It could be a work dynamic. It could be a partnership dynamic. It could be even the dynamic within yourself of your masculine, feminine energies, or the relationships you have with other people that you feel like you're giving too much, or not giving enough, or, it could be a variety of different things. But you are finally investing and really taking the time and really pouring into the lacking parts, pouring into your growth, pouring into making stronger boundaries, pouring into recognizing, okay, what is draining my time? What is draining my energy? What is draining my financial resources? You're really kind of stepping back and reevaluating your own foundation and what you need to do to change in order to feed yourself and give yourself an opportunity for growth. So balancing things out within your life. It could have nothing, it could not have been anything super traumatic, or it may not have been anything that is a crisis. It may just be one of those days you wake up and you realize, I feel like I'm just bored. I do the same thing. I go to the same job. It's a 9 to 5, and I'm just, life is good, but am I really getting what I want out of it? Could I be doing more? Is there something more? Am I just accepting this pipe dream that I have been told that I'm supposed to do? And now I've accomplished everything, but I'm here. I've met all of the checklists that I'm supposed to. Happy wife, happy husband, family, the 2-car garage, and the white picket fence, and you've met all these expectations, but you're still not happy. So then what do? And so this is kind of you really going back to your roots. I see that with all the trees in the background. Going back to your roots and figuring out, okay, well, what if I changed this? Would that help me grow here? Would that feed my soul? If I'm not happy with spending time with this group of friends, then what if I try and, go here instead? Or I've kind of outgrown this hobby of mine. Am I getting the same satisfaction? Or I've kind of capped out in the path that I'm at. What direction do I need to go? So this is kind of part of what we're doing. And in realizing that, okay, I may have been afraid of success, then you're having to go and invest in other places. Like, okay, well, if I'm afraid of success, then how have I limited myself? Do I need to go back to school? And that could be a decision that some of you are making, needing further education, or it could be just changing careers altogether. And I do have a heavy influence on this particular read. It's not super spiritual. I'm not getting a super spiritual component with this one like some of the other ones. Like I said, life is okay. Life is fine. Life should be, and here we're going with the shoulds. I don't like the word should. It's assigning guilt and shame. into situations that may not necessarily need it. And I just don't like guilt and shame emotions anyways. It adds an extra layer of internal work that needs to be done. The only standards that you are required to meet are your own. But what are your own standards based on? Are they based on what somebody else has told you? Have you done the work to really decide what is important to you? What are your values? Again, or are you just going through the motion? Because I think at one point you realized you were just going through the motions and not fulfilled. I don't see any fulfillment in this. Honestly, I'm picking up on a sense of really loneliness. And not in the way that there's nobody around you, not being isolated. I think a lot of this energy is quite the opposite. You know, you could be a social butterfly. You could have friends, you know, everywhere you go. You could be this extrovert that really likes to make people laugh and really is interactive with other people, but I'm getting a very a deep sense of just being lonely, not feeling connected. Almost, you know, if we're looking at this, there's a separation, and even though they're sitting within close proximity of each other, there's no life. They're just shadows. They're just vessels. It's not a life-giving relationship. You could be talking to people all day long but not really feel seen by those people. And you may want people to see you, but in order for that to happen, you have to learn to see yourself. Who are you? Or are you just, again, going through the motions and not really wanting to dive deep? Or you just have gotten so caught up in checking off the list of what somebody else's success looks like, you know, what society has painted, the path that somebody else has told you that you thought was what you were supposed to do. Filling in as these roles, but you don't necessarily know who you are beyond the roles. You know, there's a sense of being lost. I'm getting a midlife crisis type energy. And it doesn't have to be any age. You know, you can have this epiphany or feeling this emptiness once you attain certain goals at any point, but then you get ashamed for admitting that you feel this way, because somebody could look at you and be like, well, why do you feel lonely? Why are you complaining about it when you have this and you have this and you have this and you have this? You know, they're looking at you from the outside, but the problem is that's never going to work. That's not going to give you the validation. You have to be the one to look on the inside and determine, okay, what is going to make me feel seen and validated? What does give me joy? And learn to reconnect with yourself, pulling these swords out. So all of your heart is connected, where you're not divided, like I'm going to give this part to this person, and this part to this person, and this part to this situation, and this part to this situation. And nothing is together. There's not a cohesiveness with it. So then going into the moon card, you know, it's almost as if you're merging them together, seeing different sides of things almost. And I'm picking up looking at yourself through a different perspective, reparenting yourself, which would make sense going back to these. You know, healing yourself in a way that nobody else could, because this is, in essence, even though it's two faces, it's in one shape. It's that full moon but we've got both sides. And I'm also picking up masculine, feminine, learning to love yourself, learning to empathize with yourself, learning to protect yourself, you know, kind of having your masculine, feminine energies really merge more together, which is what I see for that bridge. And again, we're kind of doing internal work because this is the moon card. And having the internal work here because nobody else can do and know all of the parts inside of you. You know, it's interesting because, you know, in the times that I've ever used these cards, I've never noticed we've got two towers on either side. You know, we're kind of bridging the gap here. But these towers, they're balanced, they're solid, they're stable. Yes, they could come down at any moment, but right now they're not. And so for me, again, that shows me that everything is solid in your life. But we're still really confronted with, you know, the internal battle. And I see the figures are being reflected in the moon underneath, or in the water underneath. Water is usually symbolic of emotions or the subconscious. And it's almost as if you're really looking deeper. And the waters here are very smooth. So it's looking under the surface even when things are calm. You know, I'm getting some of you may really struggle because you're kind of in a numb situation, like you're not feeling anything. And sometimes when we don't feel joy in meeting these accomplishments and these milestones, especially if they were not something that we decided we want to do, if we're not getting the joy and the pride that we would think, you know, we should feel when it comes to those things, then what we're going to do is we don't want to feel numb, so we're going to create something that we feel. So sometimes people will create anxiety. They'll make a situation up so they can just feel something. You know, and what I'm seeing here with these two wolves, it's almost as if, yes, they're friendly. This one's not really scared. You know, he's sitting there kind of looking at what's happening, but this one is like creeping in, coming in a manner that could induce something, almost like you're trying to induce fear. You're trying to create a situation when there's nothing dangerous around, but you're trying to invoke feelings of a dangerous situation in order to feel. And so this is a lot of the stuff that you've really just been sitting with. Yeah, I mean, what direction do you need to go? Okay, let's see what. All right, Spirit, what messages does the viewer need now that we've kind of checked in with where they are? Oh, nope, So and if any of this is resonating with you, feel free to like the video. I'd love for you to subscribe to the page. The support is very appreciated. Okay, so shock. Sudden change, shocking news, surprise, and epiphany and transformation. Yeah, it's almost as if you need something to shock you in order to feel something. We have hammer. Sabotage and rebuild, persistent. You're working on it or you're repairing it. And that does go back to what we were talking about before, where you have been engaging in patterns of sabotage. Okay, we have not today. Boundaries and hurt, avoiding conversation, not dealing, or you're still upset. Basically, you're kind of, the way I see this picture here is you're kind of feeling your way in the dark. I was just given the image of somebody putting their hand on the stove to feel if it's hot. Not sure where that came from, but that may apply to some of you, you know, wanting to, I guess, get burned in the experience, or wanting to feel something. You know, and it's also kind of oh, I need one more card. Let's see. Oh, I guess we got two. Fear of abandonment, chasing, and codependency. So yeah, that goes back to what I had said earlier. Maybe it's not the fear of abandonment that you have been worried about, or the fear of success. Maybe it's a fear of actually being loved and seen for who you are. A fear that somebody will actually accept you for all of your parts because you don't feel that you are lovable for all of those parts. Or maybe you were told as a child, you know, these childhood wounds really do affect us in our adult relationships. And I think people really have a tendency to overlook how significant those messages that we received as children impact all of our relationships as grown-ups. So we have the yin and yang balance, that union and duality, complementing polar opposites. It's interesting though, look at the pictures with all of the hands. Okay. So it's kind of reforging, rebuilding things within your life. Ideas, values, what you want, what you don't want, and incorporating new boundaries, or recognizing that you're not happy with where you are. But then we have this open palm hand, almost kind of saying stop or pushing away. But then we have them grasping, or, you know, kind of reaching out and touching each other. So maybe before you didn't want to deal with it, you didn't want to see it, you didn't want to recognize that you weren't happy, or that you're like, no, I don't have any reason not to be happy. No, I'm not lonely. No. But then really deep down, you recognize that you are. You don't have this. I'm seeing this as intimate, you know, even though it looks like a parent and child. And in this one, it's almost as if they're playing together on the beach. And maybe that's something that you've recognized that you never had a very close, loving parent-child relationship. So you don't know what that looks like, and you don't have that within your adult relationships. That's not for all of you, though. Could be friendships. Maybe you don't feel close to your friends, that you can be yourself, you can be carefree. Or maybe you don't feel like you can be this type of parent with your child, that you have to be the disciplinarian. You have to be the one that, lays down the law, that hammer. You have to be that strong person, that you cannot, if you're in a masculine role, you cannot be that soft parent that the mother is. That you're stuck in that role, that you're not having that duality. But what it is, it's about balance. The balance is the key. Merging the two together. You have to have, and I know I keep saying it, but you have to have the balance. Light balances dark. Negative balances positive. That's where you're going to find that equilibrium that you're searching for. All right, Spirit, what else does the viewer need to know about this? What is going to be helpful for them? What is going to be helpful for the viewer? Oops. Options. And oh, I love it. Because look, yeah, really looking at things. What are your options? Balancing things out. Do you need a different career? Do you need to just make a different move within the job that you're in? What about in the home life? Do you need to renegotiate some of the roles that you have? What about the work, your work social life balance? I mean, this reading, I'm not getting that you need to cut anything out. Like I said, everything's good. It's stable. I mean, nothing super crazy is going on. But that's the thing. There's nothing going on, but you're still feeling this way. So there must be something wrong with you, right? I'm totally being sarcastic with that too, because we're taught to think that way. Everybody is allowed to feel feelings. You can have $5 million in the bank and still feel like that's not enough. Going back to the feelings of being good enough, or that you don't feel safe financially. You can be surrounded by people and have, like I said, that dream, that American dream lifestyle, and still be unhappy with it. You can still be lonely. One person experiences doesn't negate another person's right to feel their own emotions. All right, what else does the viewer need to know? Okay. I guess we are going to get 3 of them. So we have practice. Polish your skills by practicing regularly. Practice taking time for yourself. Practice doing something that gives you joy. You know, she's playing this, looks like a tin flute, but she's using a skill set, and she's also investing time in herself and what gives her joy, what makes her feel creative. And maybe you need to do that. Maybe you need to have more of a creative outlook or outlet to be able to help you get in a more flow state so you can understand your emotions better. Maybe there's a pattern to them. Okay, so we have writing. Yeah, journaling is really a great thing. And journaling is a way for us to kind of get all those anxious thoughts out of our head, but to help us really reflect back and see what our subconscious mind is telling us. And journal writing is not like, dear diary, today I did this, today I did this, this is what so and so did to me. No, no, no. You want to get lost in more of the stream of consciousness and say whatever you need to say in your journal. It may feel clunky and awkward at first, but you can go on there. You know, this experience happened to me in today, and I was so pissed off about it, and I cannot believe this person did X, Y, and Z. And you know what? And looking at it, I just felt very overlooked. And when I feel overlooked, it always brings me back to this particular childhood memory, and I can't believe that happened. And just putting it all out there. And sometimes you may realize, or you may connect that, oh, the feelings you're feeling now kind of stem back to a childhood situation, and maybe you can look at it from a different perspective and help heal it. That could have been a wound that you left covered, and then it started festering and you didn't know it. It's almost like you didn't know you needed to address that issue until you saw it in that junk drawer. And so that's a beautiful way sometimes to uncover things that you didn't know were really affecting you. And something that you experienced that had nothing to do with the situation you're in may be affecting you, but you would have never pieced the two together unless you did journaling, unless you wrote about it or kind of explored that, took time for yourself, engaged in self-care activities. You know, and there's a lot of different options for them, but engaged in that self-care activities for you to have time and explore it. And then it says career change. So again, there is we've been talking about that pretty significantly throughout the read today. I do like, these look similar to me. But from this one is almost as if an external factor is making a change in your life. But this one is more internal. This is you consciously making a decision. So you could be in a job situation where you know that they're making job cuts, right? But you're just kind of doing what you normally do, waiting around, and one day they may just be like, okay, well, you didn't make the cut this time. But you weren't really happy there. You were just kind of going through the motions. Or by exploring your options, kind of by doing the self-work and looking deep within, you could be like, oh, I'm not really happy at this job. And I know that they kind of been making cuts. Is this something that I want to, if they kept me, that I would be okay with? Or do I need to really start looking at other options and putting in resumes, other places where I would get more fulfillment? And you making conscious changes within your life and your circumstances in order to protect your house and your home and your stability. Because that reminds me of the towers that are in this one. And so even though you're doing this work, you may need to attach some action to it and really think about what it is, what action that you want to take. All right, Spirit, are there any final messages that you have for the viewer? what is the final message for the viewer? Oh, goodness. Anything else? Yep. Okay. I knew there were two. All right. First one. No act of kindness is ever wasted. Some of the kindest people you will ever meet have been through hell and back themselves. That strengthens their compassion and empathy. If this is describing you, keep being the beautiful soul that you are. Don't underestimate your value. And if you're in situations where people are taking advantage of you, that shows more about the other person than about you. Don't change yourself for somebody else. You need to change yourself because you have made that conscious decision to do something different, that you want to grow, that you want to evolve, that you are seeking love and compassion and support. And that is okay because, everybody comes on this earth journey. Doesn't matter what your beliefs are for afterlife, but everybody here on earth comes to this world alone. Unless you're a twin or a triplet or a multiple. But even then, you're still your own entity. You still have your own thoughts and feelings and experiences. Nothing can ever be exactly the same, no matter how hard that you try and keep them to be. So everybody is here as an individual. So remember that and make choices based on what you feel is right within yourself. And be kind. Be kind to yourself also. A lot of times people can be kind to other people, but they're the worst to themselves. But that's where you need to do this inner shadow work and really reflecting. Are you being so hard on yourself that you're not able to see yourself with loving eyes? Like a parent would see a child. Maybe that perspective is something that needs to change. If you're worried you don't have the strength to move on, think of how much strength you are using to hold on. Then redirect that energy and enjoy your life. That sums up. Oh, I'm feeling a third one. Okay, let's see. That really sums up a lot of what the other parts of this message were. All right, Spirit, anything else? I know I feel another one. Here it is. Okay, here we go. In relationships, the biggest thing you must look for is consistency. Every time you forgive someone who is being consistent with you, you are giving them permission to hurt you again. You deserve better. This is for a select few of you. This is very, very, very important. And it doesn't have to be in romantic relationships. I'm not really feeling romantic relationship. If anything, I'm feeling more parent-child dynamic. Yeah. Just because they're family doesn't give them complete access to you and your thoughts and your life. Boundaries are important because boundaries teach other people how to love you. And if they don't respect your boundaries, again, that shows a lot more about them. But you have every right in the world to protect yourself. And if they're not respecting that, and if they're not being consistent in respecting that, then you got to change the boundary, or you have to change the dynamic in the relationship. Yeah, because I've got a lot of the There's a double, you know, two there, two there. Well, there's three, parent, child. Maybe giving in and really reevaluating or paying attention, putting time and effort into the parent-child dynamic, because that parent-child dynamic affects your grown-up relationships. A lot of these faces are looking down. Now that I see it, look, they're all looking down. These are looking down. Here, here, here. You gotta get your head out of the sand. And I'm saying this with love. Get your head out of the sand and really look at what's going on in your life. And you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to know. It'll come to you. You'll know exactly what needs to change. But you really got to look at it and stop putting it off. Stop putting it off. Make the changes. And you be the one to make the changes for yourself. Not let somebody else do that for you. This is a sense of empowerment as well. That's how you heal. Giving to yourself, empowering yourself. But yeah, stop looking at other things and being distracted and feeling guilt and shame. Stand tall, be proud. And know that you can do it, and that it's okay for you to feel what you feel, and it's okay for you to make changes and adjustments to make your life better. Because you can make the changes. It's not going to be that hard. You're resilient and you're very capable. You're 100% capable of getting it done. But you got to dig deep and you got to figure out, see the problem for what it is. Really look at it and look at what you can do to make the changes within your own life, not what somebody else can do for you. We're not doing a pity party. You know, I'm hearing it's time to put your big girl panties on. So maybe that's for somebody there that needs a little more of a tough love encouragement. But make the life you want to make. Yeah, nobody says you can't. So, all right, I like that message. It was good. So I hope it helped some of you out there. I would love to hear your stories in the comments. Like I said, feel free to like and subscribe, especially if it resonated with you. If you needed to get in contact with me, my email is definitely in the description box as well. And I know it's a little bit shorter than my other ones, which is fine, perfectly good. I always have intentions of having shorter ones on here, but thank you for spending time with me, and I will chat with you guys next time.